Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Awakening Hour podcast, where we dive deep into all things fifth dimensional, helping others heal body, mind, and soul. If you're ready to reconnect to who you truly are, step into your power, and find ways to set your soul on fire, well then, you came to the right place. I'm your host, Jen, fearless leader at Innerversity. Also known as the Empire Heyoka, quantum shaman, Lemurian priestess of the new earth, and empire builder. My mission is to help other visionary starseeds and light workers, new earth builders, and trailblazers gain clarity on their purpose, fully activate into their power, and live in divine prosperity by claiming the empire within. Each week, we dive deep to help you find ways to unleash your inner magic, quantum jump your awakening, break through limitation, transcend to the fifth dimension, and ways to create the life you want and heal. Together, we can make a massive impact on the world, and it is time we rise. So come. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It is November 17th, 2021, and I have Becca from Beccaboutit with me today to have divine discussions on, we didn't really plan anything out, we're just going to let things flow, but we've been doing a lot of talking about some things that we've been seeing in the collective, as well as working through some amazing things that really prompted us to start doing this show together. Welcome, Becca.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate you having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it's really cool to be working with you.
It is awesome to be working with you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the past week we've made some major breakthroughs on a lot of things that I think have both helped us quantum shift.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yes. And honestly, like, I'm kind of okay with starting there if you're okay with that, because I think it's a big, it's a big thing in the community of like people working together and lines being drawn, and those who do resonate with you and those who don't resonate with you. And, there's a big part of that. Anyone who's done videos or has, tried to create a soul-filled business, knows that there's so much, wounding, I suppose. Your shadows, your triggers come out and all those kind of things, but
it's years and years of programming.
Okay. Like, it does trigger a lot within you, right, as an entrepreneur. And so, there's a big part of me that, as much as I'm excited to step out and do all these things and come out, there's like a really big part of your ego that goes, oh, this is scary and it's not safe and it's concerning, and go back in your hole. And I've actually gone back in my hole several times, and I've lost, big, amounts of followers because of my own ego and, me being very insecure about what I put out and questioning it, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, right? And so, well, you and I have talked about that, and one of the videos that helped me a lot that you put out on your TikTok channel was literally this, being an entrepreneur will trigger every single wound that you have within you. You literally said that, and it just shook me, because I was like, that is exactly what I'm dealing with. So, so all that to say, I've gone into my hole, I've come out, I've been, really tried and then really not tried. And one of the things that I realized throughout this whole process is that there are always going to be people who criticize, and you're never going to make everybody happy. So you might as well just get out there and do what you're going to do. And if you're going to be a polarizing person, then you have to understand that some people are going to resonate with you and some people are really not. But you have to just be honest about who you are and then find those people who resonate with you. And so I'm going to be super, super vulnerable, completely honest about you and I, and, you've given me permission, so that's kind of cool, and I appreciate that. But I want people to know that we all have a shadow side, right? Jen,
every single one of us. Myself included. That's important that we do touch base on that. It's the important thing is that we're working through it. Go ahead, Becca.
So that's where I'm going with this, right? And I think you know. Yeah. So, Jen, I consider you this amazing entrepreneur, and I do look at your stuff. It's beautifully crafted. Like, you have this elegant design. You have really good presence online. I do think that you have a beautiful business that reflects genuinely who you are as a person. And you do a lot of stuff. You have Awakening Hour, your podcast, and you've got a lot of different you know, you're really good at Instagram and all these kind of things. And then you pretty much co-sponsored Camp Disclosure, and you were doing everything for that. And you and I got together to work in that space a lot. And if I'm being completely honest, I was a little bit intimidated by that part of you, which is interesting for me because I always felt super comfortable in the business world. Like, I was this badass engineer, and, you know, I managed men and told them what to do, and, you know, whatever. That's all part of your ego. But so when, you know, I was surprised how I felt when I was in your presence, and that has nothing to do with you. I want to state for the record, okay? I had to go deep inside and look at myself and go, wow, this girl's really doing a lot of stuff. It's making me feel a little bit fragile, and I don't know how that, you know, I was a little bit envious, if I'm being completely honest, and I had to sit myself down and put myself in check and go, you know, I have a really good opportunity to leverage an amazing relationship here, or I have a really good opportunity to destroy something. But at the end of the day, that comes from your choice and who you want to be authentically. And so I chose to show up and be completely vulnerable. And I called you one day and I was like, look, I did this thing and I'm not proud of it. And I feel bad and I felt jealous of you. And I don't want that. And so I want to clear the air with you. And so that, you know, for everybody on the phone, that makes me feel really uncomfortable, and I'll probably beat myself up after I get off the call about this. But I want to be honest and also show you my shadow and the things that I struggle with too. So I don't know where you went. The authenticity is big for me, so I guess I don't know where you want to go with that, but that's why we're here, Jen, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yes. That is what actually prompted this whole thing, and it is important for everybody to know, because my reaction, and this is what happens, and Becca got to experience this, and it was a beautiful moment because we held space for each other. And this is what is so much needed, especially now within the collective and where we need to get. This is fifth dimensional living.
Yep.
I held space. I recognized it. I didn't get triggered by it. I understood. And the key thing we did was communicate. We communicated. And I think that is missing a lot. And personally on my journey and working with clients and coaching and, you know, all the other courses I've taken and everything like that, relationship problems, any problem that we are having right now is pretty much due to communication. And that is because, going back to the very beginning, we have so much programming, guys, to break through. It's not just in this lifetime. We've got generational lifetimes, because we're breaking the programs from our parents, grandparents, and past lives, and all sorts of shit that's coming up. And Becca knows that well, because she does Akashic record reading. Mm-hmm. So, but the key thing is that instead of, she came to me and I told her I honor her more as a person now. I respect her more as a person, because that is what we needed, and we communicated, and it really kind of blossomed from there. Because I told her, I said, you know, I have those moments, but I recognize that when envy or jealousy comes up, I have to immediately go in and reflect on me, and Becca did that. And then, two, that vibration, what it truly means at the end of the day is that that's something that you are desiring. And for me, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I drowned my emotions for years, and I also got into relationships where they were telling me what I liked and wanted to do. So when I woke up, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know my feelings or any of that. So when I recognized what jealousy or envy was, I was like, oh, okay, wow, now I have another layer. That's what I want. So when it came to manifesting, I took that knowledge to be able to manifest and shift my vibration to start calling that in, because all my ego was telling me is that that's what I wanted. Right. So I use it as a skill, and it's jealousy is I'll bring this up quick. I have a cat, and I got another cat, and then I realized that she was jealous about it. So that's not really like a learned behavior. Nobody ever told her that. Mm-hmm. She didn't have any other cats. It just came up, and then I realized this is just a normal emotion that we have in this realm. Yeah. So if we've been taught by the Matrix and the programming that this is not a good feeling, or, ego gets in, and then our pride, and, we react. Instead of reacting, if we do a self-reflection, we can shift it and use it for our benefit.
Absolutely. I think for me, the core of what you kind of just said is get curious when those things happen. Yes. Get really curious. I didn't instantly go. It was actually a realization for me, because it wasn't like this insidious thing that crept, okay? That's what happens, I think, when you ignore your shadow. It wasn't insidious. Mm-hmm. I don't consider what I felt a negative or bad thing at all. I consider it a really good thing, because I felt it and I instantly went, oh, that's interesting. Let me think about that. Let me sit with that, And, I think a lot of people don't really know what that means, okay? So let me just tell you, for me, I'm a very, third dimensional, okay? I like to be a very grounded spiritual teacher. I cannot stand those spiritual teachers who spout off nonsense that you can't understand, okay? That is not helpful for anyone. I'm just going to put that out there, okay? When I say sit with it and really be curious and playful about it, I was like, well, I'm feeling a little jealous of Jen. I literally went to your TikTok page, watched a bunch of your videos, looked up your emails that you had sent me. You have a really super cool signature, and all these things are wow, she could teach me how to do that if I really cared. I'm sure she'd trade services with me, or whatever. So it's about the process of being curious and not instantly going, wow, I suck as a person. That feels like a shitty feeling. I don't want to feel it. Let me just put it away. And then that's when it gets insidious, when you start going, oh, I'm just going to ignore that girl. I'm not going to like her video. When I see it, I'm not going to heart it. I'm going to ignore it. Do you see what I mean? Does that make sense, kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's shadow work, right? And then for me as a spiritual teacher to go, I want to manifest a business where I can network with other people, something that, I can share, my teachings with other people and learn from their teachings, right? I say I want to manifest that, but then I'm jealous of somebody who's out there doing it. Really? That you're not going to, you see what I mean? You're allowing that kind of separation, and, now I will comment here on discernment. Not everybody's going to resonate with you, okay? And that's okay. That's a difference. But that's what I think I mean when I say being authentic. Be authentic to who you are, because then those who resonate with you can find you. But in that authenticity, make sure that it's grounded in really knowing what your belief structures are. And, having a nice, solid foundation to work from is always helpful in the 3D, if that helps.
Yes, it absolutely is. That just goes in with doing your shadow work. Of course, you're not going to resonate with everybody, but if you are asking yourself those questions, if you are digging deeper, I'm a why person. I'm actually more than a why. I'm a who, what, I ask it all. Only because I realized that my triggers were my greatest teachers, and the more I dug, the more that I found out about myself, and what it truly is. And what was coming to me when you were talking about all that was, these are the moments. I had control issues. I'm a human design. I'm a manifester, so when I'm trying to control my environment and it doesn't work out right, then I have a reaction to it. But you can't control, the only things that you can control is yourself. And when you have those moments, it's like a fork in a road. You really have a choice. That's what you can control on how you're going to react and how you're going to use that information. And I think this is a beautiful topic to touch on today. Becca, thank you so much, because most people don't have that awareness, and it takes mastery. It's not something that I got overnight. I've been doing this for like 4 years, so it gets easier and easier, but it's in those moments. When you have a trigger, any trigger, if it's a trigger is an emotional reaction, whether it's happy, sad, anger, anxiety, depression, whatever. Take time to review those, because then you'll learn a lot more about yourself, and then you'll also learn to be able to know how to react, because your reaction is going to determine your outcome, and that is where you are a conscious creator. That's one of the ways that you can start taking back and helping your reality and navigating through, what we're trying to navigate through now. I don't know. I don't matrix that much, but anytime I come up to pop my head on what's going on, everyone seems to be like, the world's going to hell, and I'm like, I'm creating new Earth.
Just focus on that.
That's all I'm focused on.
Yes. No, I think that's good, because I was listening to one of my other friends. My friend Rebecca is a dream oracle. Okay, she's a master dreamer, and she's very good at the dream world. And she did this live this morning where she's talking about practicing pause, and she always says that, practicing pause. And so she's like, don't react in the emotional state, because that's probably not the best place to react from, right? Practice pause and then kind of think about it, because here's the deal, you guys. Everybody always talks about control your emotions, control your emotions. That's like telling someone with diabetes to control their blood sugar. It is a natural bodily reaction. You cannot control your emotions. You have them. They're a thing that happens in your body as a response in your brain to the things that you think, perceive, feel, and what's going on around you, okay? And think about how powerful your mind is, because if you have a thought that is, also triggered with an emotion, and you have this whole entire reaction within your body, you can create panic by just thinking about something, okay? So an emotion is really just a biological reaction, and if you practice pause, you can learn to be okay with feeling uncomfortable in your body, and I would highly suggest that. If you're not okay with being uncomfortable in your body, you should practice that first before you practice anything else. Before you practice
that is actually
before anything. Sorry, and here's why. Because if you sit down to meditate, you don't know what you're going to get. So you may not be comfortable with what comes in, okay? So then you're like, okay, now I'm not going to meditate, okay? Just sit with your body, my God. Make that your goal. And really think about what you feel in your body, how it feels. I literally give emotions, substances, colors, names, and everything.
Yes, that's actually part 1 in the Master Key system. It is one of the first things that if you, any type, if you're manifesting or whatever, it is key that you learn to master that skill, being uncomfortable, going through that. Yes, I'm so happy you touched on that. I had to pull out my book, because I remember just reading that, because I'm going through the Master Key system, and I was like, yeah, that's part 1.
I mean, honestly, you don't even need any kind of system. Just as a human being, as a child, you should be taught how to be comfortable in your body. Quite honestly, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Wow, you guys, we don't have to make it this complicated. It's not, I mean, cognitive dissonance is real. You can feel something in your body and not like it, but you can't, judging the accuracy of that information that's coming through based on how you feel about it is really not the best judge. Like, I'll just say that,
Yeah, no. When I learned about cognitive dissonance, and I experienced, because sometimes I still experience it, I know that I lean in as much as I can until I can't, and then I take back to reflect on what I am feeling in my body, and I dig deeper, and I do some reflecting, and then I lean, when I'm ready, I lean back in. And normally when I do that, the way that I view it is more expanded, okay? So I'm allowed to have more information to come in. But yes, your first reaction is probably 95% not your,
what you're going to
reaction.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't. And so let's take this back to a very practical, like, I'm willing to put myself on blast here, you guys. When I felt jealousy or envy or whatever you want to call it from you, I didn't instantly go, like I said, it was curious. It was like, oh, what does that feel? Okay, where's that at? Where's that coming from? Because I'm not instantly like, I don't try to identify as something as bad or good or right or wrong, or because reading the Akashic, if I do that, then I'm instantly an ego, and then your information is tainted, and I'm no longer good. You know what I mean? So I just want to say for the record, like, for those of you who do this kind of work, like, I think that's, step one. If you're not capable of doing that, then you do know that you're open to, manipulation and, all kinds of, inaccuracies and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's really, a lot of people are, asking, like, where do you start? What should I do? I want this higher wisdom, and I want this higher level information. And it's like, yes, you have to be okay with being uncomfortable in your body first, in my opinion, because then you can start accessing what you feel and be curious about it. And I think most people, like, I'm going to say this, most people haven't really even studied the nature of reality, the foundation of the cosmos, our origin stories. And so most people have never really sat down with their belief structures, even around religion and politics, ethics, and morality, for crying out loud, really just explored them. I mean, most of our ego construct was given to, like, i.e. programmed into us as children from birth. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we haven't even developed a firm enough foundation of even that part to build from, a lot of us. And I'm not trying to call it out. I'm just saying, if you're, I'll be honest, I put myself on blast again. I have a really hard time with my parents because they're so patriotic and they love America. And it's an interesting perspective to have because I don't have that as much as them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to get curious to, like, come to their side just as much as they have to get curious to kind of come to my side. But the point is if you're coming at a quote-unquote argument from like trying to be right, you already lost. It should be, to understand. And that gets us back to the authenticity thing, really, like, to bring it full circle. Being kind is not always nice, okay? Sometimes the kindest thing to do is to tell somebody, like, where they may not have a specific level of consciousness that you might have that might be able to help them. And that doesn't mean, that you're better or different, or better or worse, or, they're higher level. It's not about that. I just think it's consciousness. Consciousness, and some people don't have access to different perspectives, and so you have my thing of, like, going back to authenticity. I think even the very premise of being authentic, people might look at completely differently because, I'm going to be authentic to the truth, the universal wisdom, the underlying intelligent consciousness, creative, life-affirming energies that exist here, not authentic to what I want it to be or what I think it should be, And that brings you back to my point of, like, feeling jealousy is anti-life energies. Like, that's not, that's not who I want to be. So because I have that solid foundation, that's what I went back to. You know what I mean? For me, it's pretty simple to discern creative versus anti-life energy. Just start there, I don't know.
I love everything that you just said.
Sorry,
that was beautiful. No, that's it's important. I mean, you touched base on a lot of things, and it, I'm at a point in my journey, and I'll tell myself I did experience, and I'm seeing this happen a lot in the community too, is the spiritual ego. And it is, what I had to realize is at the end of the day, it's, we're energy. It's not good or bad, everything. I see all of those, like, depression, anxiety, whatever type of emotion is an entity. It's an energy itself, and it's doing what energy's doing, and it's trying to survive. People go on this journey, and they'll be where they need to be at that point in time. And if somebody is not on the level of consciousness that you are, it is quite okay. That doesn't mean that they won't be at a certain day. I mean, shoot, some of the people that I started watching in the very beginning, I didn't understand the damn word that they were saying, I didn't get it. But now I'm like, oh, I get it. And I'm not better than anybody else, and that's important. It's that goes all back to like the self-awareness and checking in with yourself and making sure, because I see that a lot. People are just because we're not on the same level, it's that, I don't know, the ego comes in, you're better than me, and that's not true. You are me, I'm just not where you're at right now, or vice versa.
And that's, again, and that goes back to kind of like what I said, in the beginning about where you start from your foundation, like where you can start your foundation from. Because that could be like, even within the same spiritual community, you could really, believe very differently from someone else. Like, even though, because I think for me, there's this, in my opinion, there's this big rift that I see growing in the fields, quite honestly, in this, quote unquote New Age movement. Like, and I'm going to say right now for the record, I don't consider myself part of the New Age movement. Okay, I'm going to be my polarizing self. I don't like all the labels. I don't like,
no, I don't either.
Light worker, starseed, ascended, like, I don't like all that stuff. It's really, honestly, that's really gross, icky energy. And the New Age movement has been infiltrated by the FBI and CIA more than anything else, like, in my opinion, right now.
Yes, you got that right.
Okay, so you know where I'm going with this. Like, I think that here's the interesting thing. What I see happening is some people are coming to it from a foundation of non-duality, or what I would consider existentialism, like a more 19th century thinking, versus essentialism, which I believe a lot more essentialism, you know what I mean? These are like, I really do start with the belief that intelligent, ordered creation existed long before I did. And that intelligent wisdom is only acquired and expressed properly through acting in accordance and alignment with it, meaning, living ethically through the choices you make and the character you express. So by developing values like curiosity, critical thinking, courage to face things that, like, cognitive dissonance that you may not like, But, like, when you choose to hear something you may not like because you choose to understand it rather than avoid it, it gets easier and easier to know what you are and what you are not. Like, I am versus I am not. And that's okay. Even some people in the New Age movement, I am not like you. And that's okay too, But you begin to develop discernment, and you know what is right and wrong. And I'm not saying right and wrong for you. I'm saying right and wrong in general, there are universal laws that uphold this reality, you know? I'm going to say straight out, the New Age community with their non-duality, no right and wrong bullshit is straight up garbage to me, and I reject it. But it's okay if other people believe that that's okay, you know? I just don't. I don't come from that. Yes, we live in a dual reality here, and non-duality exists, but not here. Like, that's where I'm at.
Yes.
You know?
Well, it's happening more and more, and it's, you said it before, it's more infiltrated, and I know that from personal experience time and time again. And of course, why wouldn't it be? Because if you are here to shift the paradigm and, you know, break away from the matrix and start living within those, what the natural laws are, where it comes from the creator, it's going to be more infiltrated, because that's, we're here to make that change.
Exactly.
And it's very fluffed down. There's a lot of the where I struggled, or where I had to really do a lot of self-reflecting, especially when it came to my business, is that we'll touch base just on Facebook. You know, the only reason Facebook is collecting all of that data on you is because they're literally getting paid by the marketing. And they make a shitload on marketing, and a lot of it's the spiritual community to get out there. So even though you are well aware of the true agenda of what's really happening, you're contributing to it. You're playing a part. Where are you here to change, make the change?
Yeah.
And that's just a small part of, like, it you know, there's so much stuff like that that's going on. We're seeing it now. It's really time to be honest and be authentic and question, what are you contributing to? Because it's all energy at the end of the day.
Well, and I would I would challenge even, you know, the point of Facebook being to market you as a, you know, as a commodity. I think that's part of it. But I think that's a third dimensional, that's the third dimensional part. So take it multidimensional, they're ushering you into a false reality, a non-organic, AI-driven timeline where it's a false ascension, in my opinion.
Something's always happening on a different dimension. I touched on one. We could probably touch on several. But, yes, you're correct. That's another agenda that they're doing. And, I mean, they prey on people's emotions. I mean, and
the model they're following is exactly like Project Monarch, MK Ultra.
Yes.
I mean, it's textbook Project MK Ultra. I mean, they're putting you into a augmented reality with virtual reality, and they can literally take you as a commodity now. Let's say, you know, we're playing in a virtual AI reality, and I'm now a non-NPC, okay? So I don't actually have a presence in the metaverse, but they've packaged me as a commodity and put me into the metaverse, let's say. Okay, this is where we're headed. So now you're going to be interacting with me, Jen. You're going to be interacting with me, a product of what they've determined me as, and now they've determined me as, I'm going to say, a political dissident. That's what's going to be shown above my head as my little NPC character, and that is what you're going to perceive about me, because they've now funneled you down into just a few short words based on your social credit score and your standing and what you see what I'm saying? Like, it's a scary thing. Like, people don't realize it's not just, you're not going to be living in the organic world. Okay, that's part of it. Like, you're going to be spending
my God, there was a show on Netflix, I can't remember, that touched base on that. It was a bunch of people walking around, and they had, like, this social media thing above their head, and they had to post so many times a day to like, and then it would... Huh?
Black Mirror. I think. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And I was like, people if they were polite, or you could mark them down if they were rude, or.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. That's the same thing. That's what they're doing. And so, I mean, I just, you know, but here's the problem. People are willingly doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not against AI, for the record. I'm not against AI. I'm not against technology. AI is that. It's programmed by the intelligent forces programming it. The problem is when you start allowing machine learning and you've got these crazy coders who have no morals coding it and then allowing it to learn, it's perpetuating something dark that you probably don't want. Like, look who runs our world. It's, you know, it's just, that's all I'm saying. There's sinister purposes, and it's multidimensional, you know. And that's not to create fear. It's to say, hey, this is happening. Do you want to participate in it or do you not? And so for me, it's kind of just like, the more discernment you have, the more power you have, because then you can navigate with more awareness, more consciousness, and make the decisions that are right for you, you know, as an I am presence.
Absolutely, because you are your own avatar.
Yeah.
What game are you going to be contributing to? I'm not contributing to that game. So, and that's why the community is more infiltrated, because we are the antivirus. So
Absolutely.
It's Aurora.
Yes, we are the antivirus, and that is like a beautiful segue into, I think it's really interesting that I think what's happening a lot of times, you know, and even me, everyone's capable or, you know, does it, but we're externalizing the matrix, not realizing that we are the matrix. The matrix lives through you and I, through those energies that we haven't purged, you know. And so when you externalize the matrix and you start going, you know, out there, you know, it makes you feel powerless. But what in my opinion, the most beautiful thing to do is, like, if you're looking out at the world and you're going, you know, I see all of these abused animals, and these animals are so abused and they're neglected, and that's not right, then, you know, you're externalizing as a victim. So what are you allowing in your life that's causing you to feel abused or neglected or disrespected? Because you're externalizing the very energy that's bothering you. How is that energy affecting you internally? Like, for me, that's kind of what I do. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. Good perception. More things to think on. Excellent conversations today, honey. Anything else you want to add? I want to open up the line to see if we have any questions from any callers. You there, Becca?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be quiet to let, if anybody has anything. I know I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
No, I think it was a great conversation, and a lot of great things were touched on. And, you know, going back to the initial, what we started with, it's important, guys, to work on these things and do that deep internal self-reflecting. What me and Becca experienced was shifting and much needed, and it's just having those open conversations, and just have, like, the conversations we had today, and we're going to have more cosmic conversations too, because me and Becca got lists of stuff to go over, but definitely I think it's important that we do this, and thank you so much for everything. I truly honor you.
I honor you too. I just want to throw out, like, even you and I, like, we're not going to agree on everything, right? And that's okay too. Like, I think that's the beauty of being able to hold space for each other and love each other no matter what. Because even if we don't agree on something, we have the conversation and we come at it from, I want to learn from you, and, you know, why do you think the way that you do? I trust your opinion. If you think differently than me, there's a reason why. And so rather than coming from a place of, you know, oh, I disagree with you and I have to be right, no, it's about, why do you think that way? Because you know a lot and you've been through a lot and you have unique perspectives, so what can I learn from you, right? Like, let's try and start there if we can. I know I said a lot of polarizing things, I'm open to having conversations about them. I think the reason why I say them strongly is because I have sat and researched thousands of hours on this stuff. It's not like I just read 2 articles and went, yep, that's what I believe. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly, and it is, because you give me a lot to think about, and, you know, going back to part of our conversation, having these important conversations or opening them up for, not debate.
Yes.
I hate that word, debate. Yes. Your opinion's not right. Like I told Becca earlier, everyone has an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
No.
Okay? It just may be, you are not at that level yet to maybe see the angle or perception that person is seeing. There are things, I mean, if we'll just say, look at when you, prior to your awake, your opinions, your views, the way that you see life has changed. That's the thing. We are always evolving. And we evolve by having these important conversations with others.
Boom. Don't cut them off, you know. Speak your truth. Be authentic, you know. Research, study. If you're not sure, it's okay to not be sure. Maybe look at it, you know. Be curious. Yeah, totally. I love that. If you're not curious, your mind, you know, that's a problem. So I think that's where to start.
Yeah.
I'm always open to change my mind.
Right, we're always open. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and open up the lines. We have 2 people that are on with us, and I'm just going to check and see if anybody has any questions and if they want to say hi. You don't need to if you don't, but if you would like to say hi and tell us who you are, that would be wonderful as well. Hi.
Hi, this is Aurora speaking.
Hi, Aurora. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm lazy, overweighted, and sit on the couch. I'm feeling perfect.
That's a perfect way to be. I met Aurora about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Very lovely soul. This is how it goes. People who are meant to be in your life will automatically show up, and this beautiful soul showed up. So I'm really honored that you popped on the call today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having this amazing call. I just came in a little late because I didn't pay attention. I was painting. So, but I like to say something, if I might. Okay, you guys were speaking about how important it is to have conversation with others. I do agree to a certain limit, but we truly forget that the most important conversation is with ourselves, because everything that exists around us in our little tiny multiverse, which is our society, surroundings, family, work, whatever you call it, it's created by our thoughts, by our energy. So our first responsibility is to have this conversation with ourselves to see where we lack and create actually what is surrounding us, what is affecting us. And when we get smart about ourselves, then it is an interesting situation having conversation with others. If you do it the way, like I sadly see that a lot in the States, for those who don't know me, I'm not from America. Obviously, you hear my accent. Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on in the States where the untruth is told by so many false leaders or spiritual teachers, which turns my stomach so around that it's very sad, because people start talking about things without having the insight. The word insight comes from looking inside yourself, not inside of a book or inside of a society. You always have to do the work first by yourself before you speak to someone else. Then it is your own truth, your own experience. Now you have something valuable you can share with somebody. You can infiltrate is the wrong way, positive influence their mindset and their experience. That is how energy click together and create something beautiful and bigger. What I saw around here is more that people start talking, but but they really don't know what they talk because they listen to broadcast on YouTube or wherever, where spiritual leaders say it is so important to talk to other people. But you can use so many words without saying anything. So I truly think it is very important to talk to yourself, which we do anyways, but our self-talk is 95% negative. So we have to switch this little tiny trigger to be more positive in the world around us.
Done. Beautifully. Well said. We did touch a little bit on that, and well, more than a little bit, because it was a lot of going back to self and having that, doing that self-work and having these important self-conversations. I talk to myself more than, I have a lot of conversations with myself and out loud. So no shame to my game. Yeah. Thank you so much for adding that.
Thank you for listening.
Hi there. I think I'll chime in too. It's Angèle here from Canada.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, so I just thank you so much, you both, for modeling. Basically, it seems like we're all in agreement that dialogue is so important, but dialogue without contemplation and self-awareness is not as productive. So and then I really want to, just before Becca even talked about kindness and versus real, being real, which can be kind, even though it can be challenging for people to hear your realness. Like, that was such a key feature in my journey, just to realize, wow, that nice girl programming, it's not nice to be real and speak up, so that's been such a big theme in my journey. So thank you for modeling, fairly what could be considered challenging conversation, but because you both contemplated, took responsibility for yourself first, and then have the conversation. So that dialogue, can only be effective once the contemplation, like a lot of people I feel are distracted and never give themselves the luxury to contemplate. And then the other concept that I think I can summarize this is direct experience, book learning versus direct experience. It's more powerful.
Wisdom.
Yeah, so anyway, I love to chime in, as Becca knows.
I love your contemplations. Honestly, Angèle, I would really love if you would share your disabled angel post about your, speaking truth, that the truth can be, how did you say it? You said it so beautifully. Can you say it for me? One man's truth is something?
Okay, one man's truth is another man's lie, I guess.
I think one man's, I'll have to remember it. I'll have to find it. Right. But it was something. It was so poetic the way that you described it, and it was like I am considering that, and it might be true,
Right.
But the truth can be brutal.
Oh yeah, that's the post on Beautiful Truth Facebook page.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's true. One man's brutal is another man's
authentic.
I can't. That does sound like something I would say, and I cannot remember it in this moment. But yeah, I contemplate that little thing I shared with you recently quite a bit. Yeah. Because for me, I've been very afraid to speak truth, and I think it's kind of that witch burned at the stake syndrome, like truth gets you killed in prior lifetimes. Yeah. And I guess I'm a fellow Akashic reader too, so I always appreciate collaborating and contemplating, the perspective that you share so beautifully, Becca. I really, really am so grateful to be live on this call. For whatever reason, I felt really, rather than listening to the replay. Thank you.
Well, Angèle, thank you for that reflection too, because honestly, I learned so much from you, and you are truly one of the most, wise, educated, lovely, can talk on my level kind of people, and I adore that about you. You push me so much, and I thank you so much for that, because your perspective is so unique, and You also do a very good job, in my opinion. If you guys are interested in following her blog, you blog beautifully. I don't know if you're advertising. I don't know if you're accepting new followers right now, because you are
absolutely
very,
am. But I am so busy.
Very, very raw truth, and I adore that about you. So yeah.
But what's interesting about me, and that's where I'm really loving observing you going out a little bit more than I do. But the contemplation is just such a key feature for me that I have challenge to balance it. Like, it just feels like, well, if everyone else is busy and distracted, it's almost like over responding as the opposite of that, to contemplate and not push out and share, so it's an interesting, I just want to share this one of my favorite analogies that I don't share out as often as I probably would like to. I even want to try and draw this, but if you think of the Libra balance of scales, there's sort of an arm and two baskets on either side, so we're trying to balance the scales of justice or whatever we're trying to balance. But I've got this concept now of a ring of metal, and then 7 billion baskets around it. Oh. So I feel like I'm often I'm not in my full natural state as an overcompensation for all the others who are, they're affecting the scale on this ring of reality and collective community. Does that make sense? It's hard to describe, but can you see what I've tried to paint here?
Yes, I can. I can. I think it's an interesting concept. Can you balance other people's karma? Can you balance other people's energy? Can you know what I mean? That even just I'm going to have to contemplate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't come to a conclusion either, but I do find that an interesting analogy to imagine, if everything's connected, from a quantum entanglement point of view. And then I really, really appreciated, Becca, how you spoke of when someone's getting really interested in animals being not treated properly and actually failing to look at themselves. I think that's been a new thing for me this year, that also Stephanie Ark-Hogarth has a lot of interesting perspectives about that, about, how to give adequate care. And I'm a more systems-based in some ways, but at the same time you can't help but go micro to the macro, so blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, that for me is the crux. It's externalizing the matrix versus, what can I control? I know for me, I studied the mandala, and that was kind of the point of the mandala, was really the more you focus on the outside, the more confusing and chaotic it gets. If you literally just focus on your internal, what you can control, that is where your power lies. And so if you control that, the bigger that, the more you control of your own internal reality, the bigger it becomes, and then the more influence you have on the whole. But looking outward to start is just really not the best place to start, in my opinion.
Yeah, mic drop.
Yeah. I mean, because you look at it and you can see it with other teachers. Obviously, Jen and I, our goal, well, in yours too, I don't know if you're public yet, Angel, but our goal is to reach more people, and that's not to create followers. I don't want followers, you know what I mean? I don't do it for the likes. I mean, it's part of it. I won't lie when I get in my feels about it, but it's simply to have a broader reach, so that we can have more of these conversations, so that we can build more, more locus of control, and we can find that energy.
I'm looking for my soul contracts.
Yeah. That's who you want to work with.
Which is the broader. I mean, we pretty much all agreed to help utilize social media to get in contact with each other. So,
well, one thing is willingness, and that's, I'm absolutely willing to go out, but I don't really want to go out and fight and have polarizing discussions with people who don't contemplate, so I guess there's a little bit of that's a little piece of me, saying, well, willingness is the number one ingredient. There has to be some willingness.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's not easy coming out and being polarizing. I get flack for it all the time. And to be completely honest with you, my mentor and I are no longer close because of that fact. Because it's unfortunate, we still work together, and we tiptoe around each other, but I'm very big on exposing what's going on here, whereas she thinks that's spreading negative energy. We fundamentally disagree on that, and I'm not going to stop doing it because I don't. Do you see what I mean? And it goes back to the way Jen and I kind of dealt with art. I'm not going to say what the issue was. We had a disagreement, and that's what it kind of started on. But she understood my perspective. I understood her perspective. She allowed me to have mine. I allowed her to have hers. My mentor didn't allow me to have my perspective.
Yeah, because you were both willing. Every party at the table has to be willing. I love that you said that. I think that really buttons this up, because I dream of like round tables of everyone. You know, they have to develop a level of willingness and mastery to speak non-violently. You can be kind and real, and that's what I'm working on.
But can I tell you something, Angel, from my perspective?
You bet.
You are, in my opinion, my role model for how to effectively non-violently communicate. So the fact that you're not out there doing that is to me, I want more of that, you know. So.
Well, that's so beautiful to hear, because you're my role model, because you're a little bit braver than me, and yet I'm getting there, you know. I'm watching. I'm willing.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Jen will help
everybody is exactly where they need to be at this moment in time. The most important thing is that you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, man, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Good discussion, and it's 12:30. Look what we did.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Thank you, everybody, who joined. Angel, thank you for sharing everything that you did. And Aurora, she popped off, but thank you for sharing what you had to say. And I loved the conversations today. Yeah. I think this is a really good show. Thank you, Becca, for joining and agreeing to do this, and we're going to be doing many more together. So if you like this show, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Give us a thumbs up. That does help, guys. It is like a energy exchange. And share this out if you think somebody would resonate or would benefit from this. Make sure that you pass it along, and make sure to join us next week. Yep. And if you have any topics that you would like to discuss, just drop us, send a message to me or whatever. I'm easily found everywhere. So just send me a DM, and we will add it to the list. And thank you, everybody, for joining. I really enjoyed today's conversation.
That was awesome, Jen. I love this. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, Angel.
Yes, thank you. Lovely meeting you, Jennifer. What a pleasure.
Lovely meeting you, too. I can't wait to see what you're putting out.
Thank you, girls, ladies.
Bye. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right. Bye.